Good evening and welcome to tonight's council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First thing I'm going to ask for is agenda changes.
Mr. Mayor, staff would request under Section F of the agenda, executive session, that one be added for attorney-client privilege.
Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is open up for public forum. Is there anybody here wishing to address the council that's not on the agenda? Seeing no movement from the gallery, I'm going to close the public forum and move on to ask for the approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, after reviewing the consent agenda as submitted, there are no questions or discussion regarding this. I would make a motion to approve it as submitted.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That passes. Next item is unfinished business. We have none this evening, so we're gonna move right into new business. And item one under new business is Halstead High School after prom, and I think we have some representation here tonight. Step up to the podium and
Hi.
tell us your name and give us your sales pitch.
Okay, I'm Rhonda Laux, and this is my husband Les. And we sent you guys a letter. Here he is. We sent a letter out from the parent committee asking you to contribute to after prom this year. So this is a traditional activity for seniors and their guests. It is held directly after prom, which ends at about 11:30 at night, and it goes until 3 to 3:30 in the morning. And I'm sure you're familiar with it. What it is it's a planned activity to help students stay safe after celebrating prom. And so we have put together, we're using our venue is the high school, and the school has waived that fee for us. And so we're going to use multiple rooms there at the high school, the commons, both gyms, to set up trampoline and blow up play equipment. So there's going to be a rock climbing wall and, you know, things that students like to do when they're 17 and 18 years old at 3 o'clock in the morning. So it will be, you know, very casual, but very active. And they'll have food. We're giving away prizes as an incentive to get them to come, obviously. We put a survey out to students, and they filled that out. We had a really good response. 34 of the 43 students responded. We've had quite a few parents. I'd say at least 50% of the parents have jumped in to help this year with fundraising and other activities. And so we feel real good about it. We are asking you for a contribution that we would directly apply to prizes for that night.
Well, personally, I'm just happy that you guys are able to do this. That we've gotten past most of these COVID numbers to where this
Right.
opportunity can be
Right.
present. I do wonder, though, I remember my after prom activities when I was in high school, which was a day or two ago. They used to hold us until 7 o'clock in the morning before they'd
Right.
let us go.
Right.
But they fed us breakfast, so it was a
Right.
win-win. Council, anybody have any questions?
How much are they asking?
500. 500 is what,
Typically, we give 500.
500 is what we've done in the past, so.
We didn't know what to ask, but boy, does that sound great. So
That's what we've done in the past.
Think of it as a return on your investment when you pay your taxes.
right.
Well, if there's no further discussion, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve a $500 donation to the Halstead High School after prom.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for a $500 donation to the Halstead High School after prom activities. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That will pass. Have fun, be safe, and hope
Thank you
everybody has a
very
good
much.
time.
We appreciate your support.
You bet.
You bet.
Next on our agenda under new business is Harvey County Economic Development. I believe Beth Shelton is here for a presentation this evening.
Yes.
Good evening, Beth. Good to see you.
Good to see you all. I wanted to talk a little bit about what the organization does since some of you are new. And I'm not sure how familiar you are with the EDC. I know there's a lot to learn when you're coming new on a board. So the Harvey County Economic Development Council, we are comprised of all of the municipalities in Harvey County, and they each fund us based on their population and the manufacturing that they have in there. There's a formula that was created about 10 years ago, and that's where the funding equation comes from. And so our task is to recruit new investment into Harvey County through job creation and capital investment. And that's primarily industry and manufacturing. And the reason for that is because those typically pay at a higher wage scale than retail and service positions. And so in theory, when we create industrial jobs, then that should create spending money in the community. So they'll, come out for lunch or dinner, and so that would create the need for those extra retail jobs. And typically, it's 1-to-3 ratio, so when you create a manufacturing job, you should expect 3 jobs to be created additionally in your community. That's, of course, based on that we have housing and that the employees are able to live in your community. But we are such a close county, each of the communities are so close together that those numbers do get skewed a little bit because we might create jobs here and people might live in Halstead. But ideally, we want to create more housing so that we can get all of those to land in the communities where the jobs are. So that's one part of it. And then another part is to go visit with the local companies and just make sure that the companies that are here are healthy and happy and growing if that's their desire. We help them navigate programs that the state has for them, just making sure that everyone's aware of the programs the Department of Commerce has. Those are always changing. During COVID, making sure that everyone could apply for incentives that were available. And really, during COVID, we switched and pivoted to just making sure that everyone could keep their doors open. And so our manufacturers were really fortunate to be able to continue manufacturing, and we didn't see a lot of layoffs in that sector. So there's only 2 people in my office. It's myself and then Jennifer Mueller, and her job is to go out and visit with the company. So, she'll be in Halstead visiting with your manufacturers about once every 3 months just to make sure that they don't have any issues. We also work on tax abatements, and so when a company is expanding, we'll come to you and say, we've run a cost-benefit analysis, and this is the return on investment. So we never want to come to you with a project that would have a negative return on investment. So for every public dollar that you might be giving up in a tax incentive, we want to show that after 10 years, you'd be getting a certain 1.3 back on that. So you'd be getting the return that you're giving up. So just try to keep all those factors going. Recently, I just went to a call center conference because the Halstead Hospital is something that I've been trying to work with Ozzy on since I took this position, and it's been challenging. Mayor Travis has gone through that building with me. I went through the building again, oh goodness, maybe 6 months ago, and just from the time when you and I went through it to that time, the deterioration was just, I was shocked how bad it got just in that amount of time. But the one area that was in the best condition was where there was a call center previously, and so felt like that would be the best opportunity to get someone in. So went to a one-day call center show in Vegas and took everyone a flyer on the Halstead Hospital showing that space there. Had a lot of good conversations, and I'll follow up with those. But one thing I learned was during COVID that a lot of call centers are really decreasing their footprint in physical space because people are doing it from home now, and they don't think that will go back to actually having 30,000 square feet of a call center anymore. So there will be some challenges in that. So it's keep thinking of ways that we can get people in there. We also try to just recruit industry. Manufacturing is so diverse here that it's kind of all over the board. We have a project in Newton that they have a large industrial park there called the Kansas Logistics Park. And there's a company that we're working with, the city of Newton has signed, but the company will sign a PSA for about 239 acres. They'll hopefully sign that in the next 30 to 60 days. And so once that project is announced, that will be a huge project that we're already seeing inquiries from a lot of their suppliers. So this company isn't located in the Midwest, and there are a lot of companies from Canada, from other areas in the United States that have reached out that are looking for smaller acreages. They'll need like 5 acres to build a plant to supply, and that's where I think a lot of the smaller industrial parks, your industrial park, maybe the Heston Industrial Park will have a good opportunity to meet the needs of these suppliers that will come along with this large business. So the green sheet that I gave you is the project tracker, is what we call it, and we give that to our board at every meeting. We have a board meeting every month, and you have 2 appointed members, which is Mayor Travis and Ethan. So we have one meeting with the full board, and then I have another meeting with executive committee, but we just go over all the projects that have come across. So a lot of them, if you see project name, it's not me trying to be secretive. It's, I don't know who the company is either. They don't want to tell us because they are really confidential. They just don't want information to leak. A lot of times, I don't know what happens to the project. So I'll respond to an RFP. The RFPs can be very time consuming, and you never know if it landed anywhere, if it moved forward. So that side of it can be frustrating, but a lot of my time is spent responding to those RFPs so that we can get someone here to look at sites. So we have also gave you the annual report. We have one annual meeting, and it's usually in the summer. And this is exciting to me. So if you're not excited, just fake it and pretend that you're excited. But for our annual meeting speaker this year, I was able to get the people who own the Dutton Ranch in Montana, where Yellowstone is filmed. They're from Newton. And so they used to own the subways in Newton, Kansas, and then they sold those and moved to Missouri. They owned some subways there, and then they moved to Montana because they wanted a quieter life, and they bought this large working ranch. And then this roller coaster happened when Yellowstone reached out to them. So we're going to have them come and present and talk about their entrepreneurship spirit and how that kind of led them to where they're at now. Don't have the date yet because they're filming, and we have to work around when they can get here, but okay. You guys a little bit more excited? But it's okay. I was excited about it. Does anybody watch Yellowstone? So, okay. So you'll all be invited to our annual meeting, and it's in the summer sometime. But just if you guys have any questions, if there's any projects or ideas that you have, please come to my office. We're located in Newton, but we want to meet the needs of each community, and that's different for each one. Ethan and I try to get together, have lunch and talk about things, but I want you guys to feel comfortable to reach out to me too. And if there's things that I'm not working on that you feel that I should be, I'm completely open to your suggestions, so that we can get businesses in your industrial park. It's been a weird couple years, but really the activity has really picked up, and we had right before COVID a really hot project for your industrial park that's kind of gone silent on me now. So I'm hoping that with this new company that's coming, we can get something else spurred out there. So,
Beth, how long have you been with EDC?
I started there in 2015, and then I became the executive director in 2017.
Okay.
You know, I noticed the other day that Henry Winkler was in Wichita.
I saw that, yeah.
Wondering if maybe you could get Kevin
Get him.
Costner to come to Halstead.
Okay, I'll try, I'll see what I can
Because the mayor of Halstead is a huge Yellowstone
okay.
fan.
Well, once we make the initial connection, then we can continue, yeah. So, but do you guys have any questions of, okay.
Well, thank you for what you do. I
Thank
mean, you are getting our name out there, and
Yeah, oh, that was another, thank you for bringing that up. We did a new ad. Our old ad just focused on the KLP, which is in Newton. And so we created a new ad, and we run it 4 times a year in a magazine called Area Development. And so this one just wanted it to be a little bit more county focused, where it wasn't just saying the Kansas Logistics Park. This one just kind of highlights all of it together. So yeah, our old ad looked like this and just stated the Kansas Logistics Park. So trying to get as much interest as we can in all of the industrial parks here in Harvey County.
Well, I know you have a lot of challenges in front of you, but personally, I really appreciate you keeping that hospital in the forefront of your mind and being proactive with that property. everybody here in town would love to see something happen with that, and it's a little out of the city's control, so thanks
Yeah.
for what you're trying to do there.
You're welcome. Yeah, I brought Wichita in and the state with me the last time, and we toured it and kind of gave him some suggestions because I know he's frustrated. He doesn't want to put more money in it as well, but if he did a little bit of upkeep in the nicer area, I think we'd have a much better opportunity because right now it's just not in a condition where it shows very well. So I continue to visit with Ozzy, and each time I'm in New York, I try to reach out to him so that we can meet there as well. So, yeah.
Keep fighting the good fight.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming in,
Yeah,
Bill.
thank you guys. Nice to
you.
meet you.
Next item on our agenda is recycling options. Would you like to lead us into that, Ethan?
So we did get basically the firm rates from Nisley. Either way, we decide whether to retain or discontinue the services. Again, Nisley is interested in keeping it as a citywide service. That's to ensure that they have basically the correct volume of recyclables coming in, where it's going to be something that's, they see a return on that investment for them. We will need to modify our existing contract either way. But to get down to those firm rates, basically, to continue to offer single stream curbside recycling citywide, the basic residential rate, which is one trash bin, one recycle bin, would increase to $19.75 per month, and the senior discount rate would increase to $16.75 per month.
How much of an increase is that? I'd never look at my current rate on my bill.
It's there's 17 now for basic residential, so $2.75 on that basic side, and then the senior increase is $2.25 per month, which essentially it's a 16 to 17% increase from the existing rates. And just a reminder, in January, those rates did actually increase by 5 to 8%, depending if it was senior or residential, and that was just due to a natural price increase in the contract, as they had been held steady for 5 years before that. If we discontinue curbside recycling, then, and I apologize, the memo still kept the one trash, one recycle bin. It would obviously just go down to one trash bin. It would drop the basic residential rate for one trash bin down to $15 per month, and the senior discount rate for one trash bin would go down to $12.50 a month. And then we would collect all the recycle bins and send those back to Nisley. So as far as feedback, I know, we asked, and thank the paper for reporting that as well, that we were seeking citizen feedback. I believe City Hall had maybe 5 calls total. All 5, to my knowledge, were saying that they were in favor of keeping it for a few dollars. But again, that's only 5 outreach out of a town of 2,200. So hopefully you all receive some feedback as well. But those are what those hard rates would mean. I know there was some talk at the last county commission meeting of maybe them revisiting recycling. I still think at the end of the day, it's, the city's going to have to make a decision whether we keep this or not. And obviously, if we do decide to keep it, there's no guarantee that, we won't, depending on the recyclable market, that, 1975 is where it's going to sit for another 5 years, especially with fuel and other commodities. So that would just, probably be our rate, at least for 1 year, maybe more, so.
Council, I had probably at least a half a dozen, maybe 10 people reach out to me, and every one of them were in favor of getting rid of the recycling and saving a little money on their trash bill. And I think what we're gonna see here in town is about a 50-50 split, so it's gonna be a pretty tough decision to make, and I'm glad I don't have to do it.
I tallied about 47 people, and 40 of them wanted to discontinue it.
And I've heard from about 30 people, and I've had 2 in favor of keeping it. The rest were opposed, or I think I had 2 that were indifferent on the whole thing.
I had a total of 25 that were in favor and 11 that were, no, let's not keep it.
60% said they wanted to keep it. and 40% said they wanted to get rid of it.
And mine was split 50-50 pretty much.
So it sounds like we're still about 50-50.
Am I right? The county's still talking about,
The county, I mean, originally, you know, when we brought this to you 2 weeks ago, the county commission had basically said that they were not gonna take recyclables at all at the transfer station, which would mean anyone that does wanna recycle would be forced to take it to a collection point, most likely, you know. I guess they could drive to a neighboring community and see if somebody would let them put it in their recycle cart, but, you know, larger collection points are gonna be Hutch, Wichita, you know, that kind of thing. We haven't discussed really if there's any option. I know reading, you know, Nisley was, I think, gonna put up, it was only cardboard, but some cardboard collection points, in the community. If we were to do that, you know, we're gonna have to identify a space to put it. I don't know if they could do multiple options or if that's just cardboard. Didn't really talk about that with Nisley as far as still offering recycling in some form, even if it was people taking it to a centralized collection point. And I honestly don't know where the county commission's gonna go. I think they were gonna, it sounded like they wanted to revisit it. I don't, but that might just be that maybe they'll take recyclables still at the transfer station, but that doesn't necessarily change. I mean, if anything, that would just allow Nisley to drop it off in Harvey County as opposed to what they're currently doing, which is taking it out of the county completely. So,
Brad, you serve other communities. What are you seeing?
Kind of all across the board. Some of them are still in the same process we are, to be candid, trying to decide what they want to do because this is spread much further. Some of them were earlier than Harvey County in terms of having problems with it. In most cases, I would say they've discontinued it, candidly. Their cost factors were sufficient that they just didn't want to continue on. And ultimately, what they did as kind of a halfway point was develop some drop-off centers. And they developed some kind of a relationship with a recycler that would pick those up. And then if those people who felt strongly about it at least had an option, and they had it in the same community they were in.
Regarding the drop-off centers, did you hear any negative issues about them, vandalism, messes all over the place? Did you hear anything about that?
Not the vandalism, but messes. I mean, if you got a lot of wind, there were always those people who got in a hurry or they would be trying to throw something in and miss and didn't really bother to worry about it. So
Right.
it would blow around and you had some issues with that.
You've got the city guys out there cleaning it up.
Monitoring it on a
On the
pretty
hour,
much daily
on the
basis,
clock.
yeah.
Or the other thing is you're getting material thrown in there that doesn't
Law,
qualify.
yep.
And
Well, that happens now, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
it
happens now.
yeah.
When do we have to make a decision on this?
I mean, as soon as possible. The county ceases, under the motion the county commission last made, they cease or their contract's up April 30th. So, Nisley, obviously, if we're still offering it, would still, I mean, they'll collect until we tell them we don't want to. So, but they would like that formal contract change, I mean, before May 1st, I would imagine, because as of May 1st, they're not hauling it to Newton anymore. They're taking it elsewhere.
So how much is an extra trash bin?
$2.
So,
$57 a year.
so if you think about it, most people, you know, they're gonna need that extra trash bin.
Yeah.
So then it's just a matter of 75 cents and not
Well, no, it's actually
$2.75.
$4.75, because if it's one trash can for 15, well, yeah, it's $2.75.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's $2.75 more to recycle. I know that we recycle, and it literally, you know, what we put out on the curb is 50% less than what, you know, we would have otherwise, and there's no way we're gonna get it into one.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
we're not gonna
looking
get
at-
it into one.
Right.
So, and that would be, I guess, if we lost it, yeah, I mean, you would have, 2 trash bins would essentially run the same rate 1 trash bin and 1 recycle bin runs right now for most people.
But in that instance, though, each person has their own choice that they're making on that.
Yeah, that's true.
We're not saying everyone citywide has to have 2 trash bins. If you need it, you can come in and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. And I know, some of the citizens that I talked to were concerned that, you know, you might have some, if we keep it citywide, you might have somebody that might have, you know, thinking of the older population, they might have 2 or 3 things in that recycle bin a month, and then they're paying for everybody else. You know, so that's another concern.
Having a commercial trash can, they allow me to have a every other week pickup. So is there any options with Nisley about scheduling instead of every other week, maybe once a month for some residents?
I know as far as when we brought up, you know, allowing households to basically opt in, or, I mean, that's one of the solutions the city could say is, I know Newton's doing it, you know, you can put out, you know, RFPs, or you can allow, independent contractors to come in and basically tell a residence, we would have to probably change our ordinance, to allow that, because right now it mandates it's gotta be under the city contract for residential. You know, usually the arguments against doing that is you'll have, you know, right now we have Nisley, we know what their trucks are, we know what their customer service is. You know, if you suddenly have 4 different recycle haulers coming in,
Oh, yeah, my question was, letting Nisley know if your recycling bin was full for that week, but schedule it once a month for pickup instead of every other week.
So Nisley would have 2 different schedules for recycling then.
Yep. Well, they would come into town
They
for,
would come in each of those.
yeah, but they would only go to certain residents.
yeah, well, I say now they split the town, and that's basically, I mean,
Okay.
for ease of that's why we have red and green, because that's actually, trash is picked up citywide weekly for everyone, as long as their carts are out. And then recycling is every other week, as it is, and they did that when we asked them, because Waste Connections, you know, our previous contractor did it citywide just once every 2 weeks. And when we asked why we split the town, because that obviously was some logistical challenges for us to get communicated out to residents, that was basically cost savings on their parts with how their routes work. They wanted, and that's one of the reasons why they want to ensure that unless they remove somebody for contamination or an issue where they're violating the intent of the recycling program, they want to try and keep as many households recycling as possible so that it ensures, you know, they can set up those routes and then again, get the amount of materials to be able to sell. So,
Well, we gave a 2-week opportunity for residents to get in touch with us. And I'm hesitant to ask for maybe another 2 weeks to see if we can really make a push, but, I mean, we gave them 2 weeks, but we heard what we heard, so. Anybody else have any thoughts?
I think
It's the city's split. I'm glad the mayor don't have to make this decision.
Well, what I'm hearing from Brody and Josh and Denise, I'm thinking my impression is that more people want to discontinue it than want to keep it.
that's been my impression of it.
Yeah.
And we asked for we gave them the opportunity to let us know what they want, because we want this decision to represent the city. And right now, to discontinue is the majority.
Yes.
So I think that's our answer.
So do you need formal action on this tonight, Ethan?
yeah, I would just ask for a motion to that effect to basically authorize staff to seek an amendment to the contract to discontinue recycling, because we'll have to bring the amended contract before you all for final approval, which would be the final decision, so I guess if, you know, maybe there's possibility a lot more people come forward.
If George makes the motion tonight and he's still here for the next meeting, it was the right choice.
Well, I'm going to preface my motion with saying we gave citizens 2-week notice to get in touch with any one of us here. And the ones that have gotten in touch with us have been the majority of let's not keep it. So I'm going to make a motion for staff to seek a contract amending with Nisley to discontinue recycling services in the city of Halstead based on the governing body's decision.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to, write up a contract to discontinue recycling in Halstead. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I,
Pose same sign.
Oppose.
Still passes 4-1. Next item under new business is the governing body work session date. Didn't we just do one of these?
yeah, we did.
So we are looking at hopefully, I would say, the week of April 11th or April 18th. But of course, we can make that work whenever. Obviously, our last,
What's your primary agenda focus for this, Ethan?
actually getting from you all the communicated budget priorities, since we kind of more did a overview of the budget and how that worked last time, just to bring our newer members up to speed. And then, discussion of capital street work. And the other, item that we would have on there is discussion of, ARPA funding and the options the city has there.
Either one of those weeks works for me, council, so.
Right now, as long as it's not on a Wednesday or Thursday, I'm good.
What week are you talking about, Ethan? I'm sorry.
The week of April 11th or the week of April 18th.
And I don't want to do it on Friday the 15th, because that's Good Friday.
Either of those work for me also.
And the 14th would be Monday, Thursday, so we'd want to stay off of that.
What day of the week works the best for you, Denise? You always seem to be the one with the most scheduling conflicts.
You know, if I can get my adjunct orientated, then I don't have to go anymore, and we'd be good, but can't get her orientated, so. Tuesdays probably work the best. Mondays, Tuesdays, or Fridays, unfortunately,
Fridays are.
unless I can get her
Friday.
orientated in the next 2 weeks.
Well, we don't want to do the 15th, because that's Good Friday.
That's Good Friday.
I mean, we could do
I'll
Friday
make
the
it- I'll make
22nd.
anything work.
22nd is good.
I like the 22nd.
22nd's good for you. We
And,
need a formal motion on that, Ethan?
Yes,
and I'll
please.
let Ethan know if I get out of that, if I don't have to do clinicals, and that opens up 2 more nights.
Well, if Friday the 22nd works for you, Denise, I
Yep.
think,
That'll work.
and put in the motion what time we're starting that meeting too, so we all know. You want to do 6:30 or 7 or 6 or
Whatever works for you all.
6 is fine.
They usually be doing at 6.
sooner we start, the sooner we can finish, right?
Yep.
Yeah, see, you can have some lobster in on that motion.
You know, we've been trying to get Brad to pay for that, you know?
Mr.
I just
Mayor,
keep asking for it, not paying for it.
if there is no other discussion, I'll make a motion for the city council to set a work session date for April 22nd at 6 PM.
You need a second, council.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
We're all putting it in our, we're all putting it in on our calendars.
We have a motion and a second for work session date of 4/22 at 6 PM. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. Thanks, council. That concludes new business, and we did add an agenda item for an executive session under, item F on our agenda. So I would entertain the motion for that executive session now.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the Halstead City Council recess into executive session for 20 minutes to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to the consultation with an attorney on matters that would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, exception KSA 754319B2, and ask that in addition to the governing body, the following persons join the governing body in executive session: the city manager and city attorney. The open meeting and governing body to reconvene in the city council chamber at 7:53 PM.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to enter executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are in executive session. Council will go. You want to go back to the room? We are back from our executive session. Is there any action to be taken as a result of? Seeing no movement from the council, we'll move on to our report section of the agenda. And first, we're gonna start with governing body comments, and tonight I'll start with you, Derek. You need more time to prepare yourself?
Well, I just want to encourage everyone to start playing in the garden and, help your neighbor if they need help with that. And that's kind of where I see it.
Okay. Josh?
No, if anyone has any other solutions about recycling, get with us and
Good point. George?
It's that time of year, everybody's gonna start mowing the yards. Please don't blow your grass and leaves into the street. Please don't do it. And, please don't do it.
Coming from a motorcycle rider, I totally get that. Denise?
It's starting to get nice. We're starting to see more people out walking, and with safety in mind, just remember that when you're walking in the streets, because I know we don't have sidewalks on all of the blocks, that you need to walk against traffic.
Yes.
So you need to walk on the opposite side of the direction that you're going. That's for your safety, so you can see oncoming cars. And it really makes it easier for people who are coming at you or that are driving towards you can see you. So that's my safety tip of the day.
Brody?
I have nothing today.
The only thing I want to put out there is just a public notice FYI. I have gotten several calls on dogs running loose in town, and if you're a pet owner, I would appreciate you keeping your dog on your property and pinned up or on a leash. The wife and I are out a couple of nights a week when it's nice on the golf cart, and we've been chased by several dogs, and it seems to be an ongoing complaint. So just be more diligent about keeping your pets in your yard. And with that, we'll move to Ethan for the manager report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Just a few things to report this evening. We did submit the KDOT cost share application, and hopefully we'll hear back on that. I believe timeframe is end of April. The base grant applications that we submitted, March 25th was supposed to be the date that we heard back on those applications. We got a nice email that said due to the overwhelming responses they received, that they're working through the multitude of applications that they received. And so I imagine, it'll be another 2 weeks before we hear anything on those base grants. But it continues there, setting up meetings now, both to meet with MKC on the wastewater treatment plant study, finish that. Hopefully can get that final deliverable, and then meeting with Lochner as well on our next safe routes to school. There might be a portion of that we'll have at the work session for you all to chew on as well. So just keep on working on those larger projects. And other than that, it's kind of status quo from the departments. One thing I wanted to mention is the restrooms are currently closed in Scout Park. That is because we had a break over the winter months. Public Works is working on fixing that, but that is why the public bathrooms are closed in the park. So if you're using the park, just be aware there are currently no restrooms in the park. So they'll get that resolved as quick as they can. And that is all I have for the city manager form tonight.
Anybody have any questions for that report? If not, we'll let Ethan continue on in the financial report.
Thank you. With staff training and all that, we're soft closed. This is January information in front of you. Hopefully we'll have February and March done as well. Still working with our auditors on getting that process completed. Overall, as it's the first month of the year, not a lot of trends have emerged with 1 month of spending in. We are in a better cash position this year than we were last year. Largely that's driven by the gas fund. Again, just with us receiving some of that upfront payments. The gas fund, as you can see, is quite a bit higher than it was in the prior year. But all funds are currently operating within budget. I do anticipate, as we have already seen one rate hike and we'll see some more, that our gas loan rate might change going into the next year. So we will probably look at accelerating payments if that becomes the case forward there. And then on our city equipment and capital improvement funds, you can see the various positions of the various departments and what they have. Overall, though, we're still sitting very well there. Just a reminder, the road improvement project budget, we did apportion part of that to be potentially used as matching funds. So when we hear back on that KDOT cost share, that will help inform going forward there. But to start the year off, in the bottom of that first handout, you can see that we basically, for most funds, our actual year-end cash balances exceeded what we had projected. So that's a very good position for us to start the year in, so.
Ethan, as a reminder, what was our gas loan percentage set at?
Like the
Interest
principal
rate.
amount, or the interest rate is 0.25%.
2.5, okay, 0.25, okay, that's right, yeah.
Do we currently have a priority in which roads are gonna be fixed? Anything like that?
The next, at least major capital project was slated to be the 9th and Walnut area. We're looking at that as far as like full reconstruction. We do have plans to continue with, as far as the maintenance side, slurry sealing and patching, basically working farther west in the community. What we didn't catch last year, I think, there's 2 more years in that plan to get all the roads effectively will have, at that point, been slurry sealed, and that deals with some immediate need patching. Of course, slurry sealing is, putting a Band-Aid on the wound,
Right.
so to speak. So
So the Ninth Street, is there like a rough timeline?
not yet. We just have some preliminary engineering numbers, and that was doing all of 9th and then the 2 blocks of Walnut. Honestly, though, anything that's older than 6 months now, I don't even know that we could stand by those preliminary engineering numbers, just with the cost of materials. But hopefully, as we hear on some of the grants, that will also allow or let us know where we need to shift money. So that's why I hope by the 22nd, we can bring that and you guys can actually set where you want to invest and what we want to do.
So when we do pull a trigger, we're gonna be looking at 9th and Walnut area, and that trigger gets.
Yeah, that's our next,
And I say
that's
this
our next
because-
area of major
Because
reconstruction.
I know that guy's out there listening tonight, he's watching.
So, yeah, that was one, that it got delayed first due to COVID, and then last year with the gas hitting us in February, we kind of dialed back capital spending until all of that got situated, which put us out of construction season, so.
And just to further answer your question, Josh, several years ago, and I don't remember what year it was, we had an engineering study done where they did a bunch of core drilling around town to let us know what the bases were like under these streets, and they put together a priority list for us to work on.
Okay.
And we've been working on that priority list in order for,
We did that-
7 years now, maybe?
Yeah, the study got done at the end of 2015.
Do we still have that, data? Because some of those were color coded, it might be beneficial for
Yep,
these
I'll
guys
bring
to
it.
have it.
Yeah, sure.
The different I think we had 3 different colors for immediate.
We had
This
some,
can wait.
we had some red on there, and if you drove out the red sections, you agreed with the map.
Yes.
So yeah, that'd be good for these guys to have.
Yeah, and once we get, the slurry sealing, that might actually be a good project. It'll cost us enough on the front side, but we probably would want to do another, or a revisit of our street inventory and see what we've managed to keep in the green. Unfortunately, what maybe transitioned from yellow to red and actually set that out to now. Because when the city first did that study, it was unknown what kind of capital we would even have to put on a yearly basis. And now that that's kind of been a firm number, I think we can get even a more consistent plan moving forward of, with this amount of money, this is what we can conceivably do. So.
Great questions. Council, that concludes our agenda this evening, so I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, council.